Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Vatsaji. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. All Krishna Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Vatsaji. So happy to join.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for joining. So I welcome all the devotees for the Bhakti Shastri class. Today we are going to do the 5th chapter, and
Prabhu, the volume is very. We cannot hear properly, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, your voice is not clear and it's breaking. And you are away.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Much better.
Is it better?
Yes, bro. Much better.
How about now?
Prabhuji.
How about now?
Much better, bro.
Okay. All right. So I welcome all the devotees. Thank you so much for joining today's class. We'll be doing the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And I believe next week is the Thanksgiving holiday. So I wish you all a safe Thanksgiving. Please note that we have the pandemic that is still going on. And I humbly request you to take precautions, whichever state or even country you are in. And the bodies that we have that can be affected by COVID belongs to Krishna. By his mercy, we got this body. And while the property, while the body is the property of Krishna, but nevertheless, we are the trustees of the body, and we have to take care of it, do our due precautions. Please either use social distancing or masks or whatever your local county or state or even country ordains, and please remain safe. I'm hoping and praying that we pull through these tough times and march back on our on our way back home, back to Godhead. So with that, we'll get started today. Thank you for joining. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guroho Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhayascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasa Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Matsamo nasti papatma naparadhi cha kaschana parihare pilajjame kim bruve purushottama bhumau skalitapadanam bhumireva avalambanam tvai jata paradhanam tvameva sharanam prabhu govinda vallabhe radhe prarthaye tvamaham sada tvadiyam iti janatu govindo mam tvaya saha राधा आराधित राधेश राधिका प्राणवल्लभ राधा रमण वंदे त्वं राधिका प्रेम निर्जिता हरे कृष्ण So
Krishna Prabhuji, today Charunima Prabhuji is doing assisting.
thank you Charuni Mai Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavad pranams.
So I believe one of the devotees, I think Ananda Kishore Prabhu, will you be able to call out the devotees that we can?
Sure, bro.
We can. So this is a smaller chapter. What we can do is we will take we'll go through the whole chapter in the first pass, and then we can discuss a little bit deeper into the different aspects of it. So we can do Sanskrit also this time. We can do Sanskrit and English. So we can call one by one, and then we can get started like that. So we at the first pass we'll do all the 29 verses of the fifth canto, fifth chapter, and then we can do the translations. So each person will do the Sanskrit and translation. The next person will do Sanskrit translation, like that. And we can go through the entire chapter at the first pass.
Okay. Palika Mataji, would you like to start? So should I start or you want to say something?
No, please start.
Okay. Palika Mataji, would you like to get started?
Sure, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Arjuna Uvacha
Arjuna Uvacha
Sanyasam Karmanam Krishna
Sanyasam Karmanam Krishna
Punaryogam Cha Samshasi
Punaryogam Sasamsasi
Yachreya Etayorekam
Echreya Etayorekam
Tanme Bruhi Sunischitam.
Tanme Bruhi Sunischitam. Arjuna said, "O Krishna, first of all," Prabhuji, can you scroll it up a little bit? Thank you. Arjuna said, "O Krishna, first of all you ask me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which one of the two is more beneficial?" Thank you, Prabhuji.
Parth and then Ujjwala Mataji.
Shri Bhagavanu. Prabhuji.
Shri Bhagavanu Vacha
Shri Bhagavanu Vacha.
Sanyasa Karma Yogascha
Sanyasa Karma Yogascha.
Nishreyasa Karavubhav
Nishreyasa Karavubhav.
Ayostu Karma Sanyasa
Tayostu Karma Sanyasat.
Karma Yoga Vishishyate.
Karma Yoga Vishishyate. The personality of Godhead replied, "The renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work."
Thank you, Partha and Ujjwala
Shirsha Mataji.
Nyeyasa Nitya Sannyasi
Jeyaha Prabhu. Jeyaha Sanitya Sannyasi
Yo na dveshti na kankshati.
Yo na dvesti na kankshati.
Nirdvandvo hi mahabaho.
Dvandvo hi mahabaho.
Sukham bandhat pramuchyate.
Kam bandhat pramuchyate. Translation: One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated, O mighty armored Arjuna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anuradha Mataji and then Rasamrit Shesh Prabhu.
Which text we are reading, Prabhuji?
X4.
Sankhya Yoga Pritag Balaha.
Sankhya Yoga Prathak Bhala
Pravadanti na panditaha.
Pravadanti na Pandita
Ekamapyastita samyak.
Ekam Apai Ashita Samyaga
Ubhayor vindate phalam.
Ubhayor Vindate Palam. Translation: Only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned says that he who applies himself well to one of this path achieve the result of both. Thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Rasamrit Shesh Prabhu and then Vamsi Daddy Damodar Prabhu.
Yat sankhya prapyate sthanam.
Yat sankrita prapyate sthanam
Tad yogair apigamyate.
tad yogair apigamyate
Ekam sankhyam cha yogam cha.
ekam sankyam cha yogam cha
Yaha pashyati sapashyati.
yah pashyati sapashyati. Translation: One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Vamsi Daddy Damodar Prabhu and then Ishwari Radha Mataji.
Sanyasastu mahabaho.
Sanyasastu mahabaho
Dukkham aptamayo gataha.
dukhamapyutmayo gataha
Yoga yukto munir brahma.
yoga yukto munir brahma
Nachirena adigacchati.
nachirena digacchati. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Merely renouncing all activity yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Ishwari Radha Mataji and then Shama Bhakta Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yoga yukto vishuddhatma.
Yoga yukto vishuddhatma
Vijitatma jitendriyaha.
vijitatma jitendriyaha
Sarvabhutatma bhutatma.
sarvabhutatma bhutatma
Kurvannapi na lipyate.
kurvannapi na lipyate. Translation: One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, and who controls his mind and senses is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Shama Bhakta Prabhu and Shama Karuna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Naiva kinchit karomiti.
Naiva kinchit karomiti
Yukto manyeta tattvaved.
yukto manyeta tattvavid
Pashyan shrinvan sprishan jigran.
pashyan shrinsvan sprishan jigran
Asnan gachan swapan shwasan.
ashan gachan swapan swashan
Pralapan visrijan grinhan.
pralapan visrajan grandhan
Unmisham nimisham api.
unmishan nimishan api
Indriyanindriyarteshu
इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेषु
vartanta iti dharayan.
वर्तन्त इति धारयन्. A person in divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, about, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, while evacuating, while receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Victoria Mataji and then Priyanka Mataji from Fremont.
Brahmanyadaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha lipyate na sapapena
padmapatramivambasa. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water.
Thank you.
Krishna.
Priyanka Mataji and then Shilpa Mataji.
Kayena manasa buddhya
कायेन मनसा बुद्ध्या
kevalair indriyairapi
केवलैरिन्द्रियैरपि
yogina karma kurvanti
योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति
sangam tyakpatma shuddhaye.
सङ्गं त्यक्त्वात्मशुद्धये. Translation: The yogis, abandoning attachment, act with body, mind, intelligence, and even with the senses, only for the purpose of purification. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Shilpa Mataji and then Divyangi Lalita Mataji.
Yukta karma phalam tyaktva
युक्तकर्मफलं त्यक्त्वा
shantimapnoti naishtikim
शान्तिमाप्नोति नैष्टिकीम्
ayukta kama karena
अयुक्तकामकारेण
phale shakto nibadhyate.
फले शक्तो निबध्यते. The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me, whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled.
So, one minute. Anybody, young adults, want to do? And then we can go back. Is that okay? Anand Kishore Prabhu? Is there any?
Anshu is there. Anshu and Anushri are there. So Anushri can go first.
Okay,
and
then Anshu can go a little later, maybe after a few words.
Okay.
All right. Anushri, are you there?
Yeah, do I go now or?
Yes.
Okay. Sure.
Sarva karmani manasa
Sarva karmani manasa
sanyasyaste sukham vashi
sanyasyaste sukham vashi
navadvare pure dehi
navadvare pure dehi
naiva kurvanna karayan.
neva kurvanna karayan. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done.
Thank you, Anushri. All right, Anand Kishore Prabhu.
So Anshu.
Okay, Anand. Okay. All right. Go Anshu.
Hare Krishna.
Na kartritvam na karmani
Na kartritvam na karmani
lokasya srijati prabhu
lokasya srijati prabhu
na karma phala samyogam
न कर्मफलसंयोगं
svabhavastu pravartate.
स्वभावस्तु pravartate. Translation. The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of actions. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. Haribol.
Divyangi Lalita Mataji and then Vaishnavi Mataji.
Nadatte kasyachit papam
Nadatte kasyachit papam
na chaiva sukritam vibhuhu
na chaiva sukritam vibhuhu
ajnenavritam jnanam
ajnanavritam jnanam
tena muhyanti jantavaha.
tena muhyanti jantavaha. Translation. Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vaishnavi Mataji and then Archana Siddhi Mataji.
Jnanena tu tad ajnanam
Jnanena tu tad ajnanam
yesham nashitamatmanaha
yesham nashitam atmanaha
tesham adityavajnanam
tesham aditya vajnanam
prakashayati tatparam.
prakashayati tatparam. When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything, as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Leena Mataji. Lalita Madhi Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Tad buddhayastadaatmanas
Tadbuddhayastadatmana
tannishtastatparayana
Tannishtastatparayanaha
gacchantya punaravrittim
Gacchantya punaravrittim
jnana nirdhuta kalmasha.
Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Text 18.
Archana Siddhi Mataji.
Vidya vinaya sampanne
Vidya Vinaya Sampanne
brahmine gavihastini
Brahmane Gavihastini
shuni chaiva shvapake cha
Shuni Chaiva Shvapake Cha
pandita samadarshinaha.
Panditaha Samadarshinaha. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater, outcast. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Chaya Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Ihaiva tairjitah sargo
Ihaiva tairjitah sargo
yesham samye sthitam manaha
yesham samye sthitam manaha
nirdosham hi samam brahma
nirdosham hi samam brahma
tasmad brahmani te stitah.
tasmad brahmani te stitaha. Translation. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Gayatri.
And then after that, you can do Anand Kishore Prabhu.
Okay.
All right. Na prahrishit, sorry. Na prahrishit priyam prapya.
Na prahishit priyam prapya.
No dvijet prapya cha priyam.
No dvije prapriya cha priyam.
Stira buddhira sammudho.
Sthira buddhir asamudho.
Brahmavid brahmani stitaha.
Brahmavid brahmani sthita. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, who knows the science of God, is already situated in transcendence.
Thank you. Bahyasparsheshva saktatma.
Bahyasparsheshva saktatma.
Vindat atmani yat sukham.
Vindatyatmani yat sukham.
Sa brahma yoga yuktatma.
Sa brahma yoga yuktatma.
Sukham akshayamashnute.
Sukham akshayamashnute. Translation. Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme.
Thank you. Next 22.
I think.
Amrish.
Yeah, Amrish. Amrish, actually, yeah. Yes. Prabhu.
Yeah, I'm here. My apologies. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga.
Yehi samparshaja bhoga.
Dukkha yonaya evate.
Dukkha yonaya evate.
Adyantavanta kaunteya.
Avanta kaunteya.
Nateshu ramate buddhaha.
Teshu ramate buddhaha. An intelligent person does not take part in sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them.
Thank you. Text 23.
Shukha Mataji, Hari Mohan Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Mataji. Harimohan Mataji is joining all the way from Japan. Shaknoti haiva yah shodam.
Shaknoti haiva yashodum.
Praksharira vimokshanat.
Praksharira vimokshanat.
Kama krododbhavam vegam.
Kama krododbhavam vegam.
Sayukta sa sukhi naraha.
Sayukta sa sukhi naraha. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. Hare Krishna. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Shukha Mataji and then Aname.
Yonta sukontaramas.
Shukha Mataji, you're on mute.
Prabhu, who is it? We couldn't hear clearly.
Sukha Kamat Matji, are you there?
I think she's on mute, actually.
I see. Mataji, can you unmute yourself?
Okay. Anamai and then Timir Prabhu.
All right. Yontah sukontaramas.
Yonta sukon ramas
Tatantir jyotirevayaha.
tatantir jyotirevaya
Sayogi brahma nirvanam.
sayogi brahma nirvanam
Brahma bhuto digacchati.
brahma bhuto digacchati. One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward, is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme, and ultimately he attains the Supreme.
Thank you. Text 25.
Timir Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Labante brahma nirvanam.
Labhante Brahma Nirvanam.
Rishaya kshina kalmasha.
Rishayah Shrina Kalmasha.
Chinnadvaidayatatmanaha.
Chinnadvedhayatatmanaha.
Sarvabhute hite rataha.
Sarvabhuta Hite Rataha. Translation: those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from all sins, achieve liberation in the Supreme.
Thank you.
Ujjwal Rasa Mataji.
Kama krodha vimuktanam.
Kama krodha vimuktanam.
Yatinam yatachetasam.
Yatinam yeta chetasam.
Abhito brahma nirvanam.
Abhito brahma nirvanam.
Vartate viditatmanam.
Vartate viditatmana. Translation: those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized,
So I think we lost them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can hear you.
We can hear you, Prabhu. I think Mataji is.
Okay, Mataji we lost. I think Srivasa Pandit also. Oh, Mataji.
were you able to listen? I know I got froze.
No, Mataji. No, Mataji. We were not.
Okay, do you want me to read that translation?
We lost Srivasa Pandit Prabhu also.
Oh.
There was some issue with the internet connection, I guess.
Okay, I'll read the translation. Hare Krishna. Text 26, translation. Those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shirsha Mataji.
Well, we have, let me call on someone else. Let's see. Okay, I think, okay, Sri Shamataji, you can do, but we'll try to call someone else who didn't do. Is that okay?
Yes,
Okay.
Prabhu, definitely.
All right.
Satyam Prabhu. Satyam.
Yeah. Let's do Dayakar. Dayakar. Hare Krishna. Are you there, Dayakar Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right. Sparshan kritva bahirbahyam.
Prabhu, I'm not able to see that.
You are not able to see? Okay.
Yeah.
Can then maybe you can prepare for the last verse. Okay, Dayakar? We'll ask someone else to read in the meanwhile.
Sure.
Can I ask Deepak Ji from Austin, please?
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right. Sparshan kritva bahirbahyam.
Sparsan krutva bahirbahyam.
Chakshus chaivantare bhruvoh.
Chaksus chaivantare bhruvo.
Pranapano samau kritva.
Pranapano samo krutva.
Nasyabhyantaracharino.
Nasyabhyantaracharino.
Yatendriya mano buddhir.
Yatendriya mano buddhir.
Munirmoksha parayanaha.
Munirmoksha parayanaha.
Vigatecha bhaya krodho.
Vigatecha bhaya krodho.
Yah sada mukta eva saha.
Yah sada mukta eva saha.
Translation.
Yeah, bring it up, please. Translation. Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breaths within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence, the transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated.
Thank you.
Right.
So you're there, Dayakar?
Yeah, I'm there, Prabhu, but I don't know where is it.
Okay, all right. Okay, so Sirisha Mataji, you can go ahead then. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam.
Bhoktaram yajna tapasam.
Sarvaloka maheshwaram.
Sarvaloka maheshwaram.
Suhridam sarva bhutanam.
Suhridam sarva bhutanam.
Jnatva mam shantim richyati.
Jnatva mam shantim richyati. Translation: a person in full Krishna conscious of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Thank you.
Thank you. Amit Goswami Prabhu, can I ask you to read the purport to the first verse, please, which will come up on the screen momentarily, the purport to the first verse.
Prabhuji, I'm a little away from my computer.
Oh, okay, got it.
To
got
read
it.
on the phone, Prabhuji.
Yeah, got it.
Sorry about that, Prabhu.
No problems, Prabhuji. I can completely imagine. Unfortunately, this doesn't show here whether which device you are using. So
sorry about that.
I'm sorry. Sukha Kamat Mataji, are you still there? You didn't get a chance. Are you able to unmute yourself? Or can somebody unmute her from the host section?
Sure, Prabhuji. Even Satyam Prabhu texted that he can read, Prabhu.
Sure, but I want to see if Sukha Kamat Mataji can be.
Sure, Prabhu. I'll try to unmute.
Oh, I think she's not.
Left?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Prabhu, Dayakar Prabhu here. I can read, but I have a Bhagavad Gita in my hand.
That's okay. All right, Dayakar Prabhu. You can read the purport to the first verse, please.
What is the number, Prabhu? What is that? Which chapter and what is the number?
5th chapter, first verse. And the purport.
Okay, 5th chapter, first verse. Give me a second, Prabhu. If anybody want to go ahead, you can go ahead. Yeah, 5th chapter, first verse. Okay. Yes, Prabhu. I'll follow you, Prabhu. sannyasam.
No. Actually, it's I can just read the purport, please.
Okay. Arjuna said, oh Krishna, first of all, you asked me to renounce work. And then again, you recommend work with devotion. Now, will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial?
Okay. All right. I can ask Trilokini Master, you are there. Can you read the purport, and then we're done with the reading.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, please do the purport.
Okay, in the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that work in devotional service is better than dry mental speculation. Devotional service is easier than the latter because being transcendental in nature, it frees one from reaction. In the 2nd chapter, preliminary knowledge of the soul and its entanglement in the material body were explained. How to get out of this material engagement by Buddhi Yoga or devotional service was also explained therein. In the 3rd chapter, it was explained that a person who is situated on the platform of knowledge no longer has any duties to perform. And in the 4th chapter, the Lord told Arjuna that all kinds of sacrificial work culminate in knowledge. However, at the end of the 4th chapter, the Lord advised Arjuna to wake up and fight, being situated in perfect knowledge. Therefore, by simultaneously stressing the importance of both work in devotion and inaction in knowledge, Krishna has perplexed Arjuna and confused his determination. Arjuna understands that renunciation in knowledge involves cessation of all kinds of work performed as sense activities. But if one performs work in devotional service, then how is work stopped? In other words, he thinks that sannyasa or renunciation in knowledge should be altogether free from all kinds of activity because work and renunciation appear to him to be incompatible. He appears not to have understand that work in full knowledge is non-reactive and is therefore the same as inaction. He inquires therefore whether he should cease work altogether or work with full knowledge. Thank you, Guru.
Thank you. So here the theme of the 5th chapter continues with the 4th chapter. Krishna mentions to Arjuna, as we discussed in the last class, one who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is wise among men. And he gives those kinds of verses. After that, in the end, in the very last verse of the 4th chapter, Krishna tells Arjuna, therefore the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight. So, which put Arjuna in a little bit of conundrum. What did Krishna exactly say? And therefore, that's the reason why Arjuna asks Krishna, O Krishna, whether should one work in devotion or sannyas? So let us get some few terminologies right in this chapter so that we can understand we are all on the same page. Sannyasa means renunciation or giving up work. I will not do any form of work. No varna ashrama work, no any varna or ashrama work, nothing I will do. So that is sannyasa. Then yoga in this specific chapter, as we can see, is karma yoga. The title of this chapter is Karma Sannyasa Yoga, which specifically or more literally refers to giving up of karma. Sannyasa means giving up and karma means work. So giving up of work, should I continue to work or should I give up work? And that is where Arjuna's dilemma was, and hence the chapter's name Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Yoga Yukta in the word yoga yukta comes up 2 or 3 times in this chapter. Yoga yukta means one who is working conjoined. Yukta means to be conjoined. Yoga means who is working in yoga, or he was doing a karma yoga, or that is the word, exact word that is meant as yoga yukta. And then ayoga or ayukta, those are the 2 words that are used for those who are not in relationship. Their work is not in relationship with yoga. So it is called ayoga or ayukta. So these are the few words that Krishna talks about. When Arjuna asks this question, should I renounce the work or work in devotion? Krishna says both are beneficial. But amongst them, the work in devotion or karma yoga is better. The reason is this. The acharyas explain, for those who have taken up to sannyas prematurely, then there is no recourse because they have given up all sorts of duties. There is no recourse in case they commit some mistakes. For example, I'll give a simple example. If you commit offenses against the holy name, Anand Kishore Prabhu, what should we do? What is the parihar, or what is the resolution, or what is the atonement for that, or what is the remedy for that? That's the exact word, not atonement.
Rupa Goswami says in the 7th verse of Nectar of Instruction that you should continue chanting as an Syat Krishna Nam. Sorry, what's that? Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then there is also this famous word Nama Parada Yuktani Namanyeva Harantyagam. So the whole idea is, even if one commits offenses against the holy name, the activity to remedy is to chant, keep continuing chanting the holy name. So in Karma Yoga, the danger is, even if you perchance are not able to do it perfectly, or there needs to be some remedy, you are still having the shelter or the foundation of action to remedy that. But when you completely give up work, you are committing faults and there is no remedy of correcting them. So far, so good. Everybody okay? Which means, therefore, Krishna is saying better work with devotion. And in few other places, he says that Sankhya Yoga Pratak Bala Paravadantina Pandita. He says that only those who are ignorant speak of these as 2 different paths, but in actuality, they lead to the same goal. But the acharyas say, because Karma Yoga has the facility of remedying the defects of Karma Yoga through karma or performances, that is much safer path rather than abruptly renouncing work. So that is where it's mentioned. And then the other thing is, even if one renounces work and one is not engaged, the 6th verse says, merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord, cannot make one happy. So you can see how even till the 5th chapter, where on the 4th chapter we achieved perfection in jnana, by achieving perfection in jnana yoga, the soul is able to be situated on the spiritual platform, or fully informed and realized that I am not this body, but a spirit soul. But that will not release the soul from the bondage of material existence yet. Because Krishna is saying you still cannot give up. At this point, you have realized that I am not the doer, and we'll come to that in a bit. And it is the material nature. I am in junction with material nature. I'll give a simple example. A prisoner, you'll go and talk to the prisoner. What do you do? Well, I get up in the morning, and then, I just go do my exercise, and then we have some activities going on. I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that. But when you poke him further, who is it that is causing, or who is it causing you to do that, then you would say it is the prison rules. Yes or yes? Nobody wants to wake up at 4 a.m., but at least in the material world. In the spiritual world, yes, the devotees want to wake up at 4 a.m. and attend Mangalarti and so on and so forth. But in the material world, you are pushed to wake up at whatever time you have to wake up in the prison. And you have pushed to wear on certain clothes. You don't get to choose which color of clothes I want to wear today. You are forced to give on one particular uniform or dress, and then you have to wear them throughout in the prison. So if you can carefully see, the Jnana Yoga is the realization that I am not doing it, but rather it's being forced upon me. But we'll come to that in a bit. And then the reason why Krishna says that both Jnana and Karma Yoga or Jnana or Sankhya lead to the same goal is the goal of realizing Brahman. The ultimate goal of Sankhya Yoga is to come to the platform that I'm not this matter, but I'm a spirit soul. And the same is the path of the Karma Yoga. They all reach to the same level, that is the Brahman realization. Kindly note, we are still not yet reached Bhakti Yoga. The word Bhakti or the concept of Bhakti will be introduced in Bhagavad Gita in the 6th chapter, towards the very last verse of the 6th chapter. Yoginam api sarvesham madgate anantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yoma samayukto tamo matha. It will come at that point of the Bhakti will actually start from the 7th chapter. But till that point, we are still straggling between Jnana and Dhyana yogas. The 5th chapter is the bridge. This 4th chapter is Jnana. The 6th chapter is Dhyana. And the 5th chapter is the bridge between Jnana and Dhyana, where the subject matter of karma, should it be given up or should it not be given up, is being discussed here. And then the realizations of a person who is solidly situated on the platform of Brahman realization. So far, so good. Any questions? So this is the opening verse of the opening. What do you say? The opening premise of the 5th chapter. So far, so good. Any questions? Any comments? All right.
Oh.
Yes.
Can I ask?
Yes.
Prabhu, here, when we talk about yoga, as you said, in this chapter, it means karma yoga. In 2nd chapter, for example, there yoga. I mean, and in Bhagavad Gita in general, yoga can mean different things, right? So my question is that, like 4th and 5th verse, where Krishna talks about karma yoga is same as jnana yoga, or
Sankhya.
Yeah, or Sankhya yoga. So is it because Prabhupada tells, in the translation he says devotional service, and in the bracket he says karma yoga. So what does he exactly mean by that? Because devotional service, as we understand, is bhakti yoga.
So when it is mentioned yajñartha karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhana in the 3rd chapter, work done for Vishnu has to be performed, otherwise work causes bondage in the material existence. Now, working for Vishnu in the form of karma or bhakti, more or less is called devotional service. Srila Prabhupada uses that. But when bhakti, because bhakti can be done with the coating of jnana or with coating of karma. People perform devotional service to God asking for something, or trying to get some knowledge from God, or get some information. Krishna says, Chaturvida bhajante mam janah sukritino vichana arto jignasur artarti jnani. So 4 types of people, they approach me, Krishna mentions. So that bhakti can be mixed with jnana or with karma. So devotional service, Srila Prabhupada uses broadly to cover that spectrum. But When we talk of pure Bhakti Yoga, then it becomes pure devotion service. In the 9th chapter and other places, Srila Prabhupada uses the term pure devotion service. So devotional service here is mainly Karma Yoga.
Okay.
And in the 5th chapter, Ananda Kishore Prabhu, that Karma Yoga actually is with full knowledge of that I am not the body, I am the spirit soul. In the 3rd chapter, that Karma Yoga was mainly my own varna and material nature. I am a businessman, I am this, I am that, and I will perform activities for Lord Vishnu. But right now, I have risen above the fact that I am the matter, because in the end of the 4th chapter, Krishna is saying that you will become firmly situated or firmly aware that you are a spirit soul. But then how do you act on that platform is the 5th and 6th chapter. And in the 6th chapter, actually, when we talk of dhyana, then the complete giving up of work, the sannyasa happens. At that point of your time, you actually go to forest and you select a place which is neither too high nor too low. Then you sit in dhyana posture, you control your breath, you do all the exercises, and then only then can you get freedom from karma. Till that point, Krishna says, no, you still have to do your work. But the beauty is, for a conditioned soul, the work is that I am doing it, and then I am taking on the results, and then, oh my God, there is so much of work here, this, that. That I is in the conditioned state. But in the liberated state, you happily do the work because you are saying, I am not doing this work. In fact, for those who really want to get into the nitty-gritties of this, I highly recommend that you read the conversation between Jadabharat and Maharaj Rahugana, where Jadabharat says, I am not doing anything. I am not, this is my body, and O king, this palanquin is not belonging to me, and my body is carrying the palanquin, not my soul. And then Maharaj Rahugana says, what are you talking? If the body is tired, the soul feels tired. If the body is hungry. So the argument is work with the full spiritual realization is in a different plane than just working in the conditioned state. And Srila Prabhupada alludes to that in the one of the purports that we can slowly come. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. Prabhu, and if in order to summarize, we can also can we say that even karma yoga and jnana yoga requires some kind of bhakti, so they can be called as devotional service in that regard, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Right, and then pure devotional service, as we understand from Anyabilashta Shunyam verse, it's without karma and jnana. So that is a different domain, right?
Excellent. Yes.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Do we miss something else? Okay. And then, so from after differentiating between jnana or sankhya or sankhya or jnana yoga and karma yoga, from the verses 7 through 16, the Lord talks about those people who are performing work in devotion. You still keep working, but it's a happy work. It's not like a tedious work. You are not belonging, or you are not feeling the same burden of work in the conditioned state of existence. And it's and then we have these verses, yoga yukto vishuddhatma. This is the verse number 7 I'm talking about. Yoga yukto vishuddhatma jitatma jidendriya sarva bhutatma bhutatma kurvan apina lipyate. One who works in devotion, a pure soul, who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though working, such a man is never entangled. Because one of the biggest problems, or one of the biggest fears for a conditioned soul is whether am I doing right or not. And for example, I'll tell a simple, Sirisha Mataji, I'm going to pick on you, so please forgive me for that. Tomorrow Anvaya will grow up, and then Mataji will give her hand in marriage to a very beautiful young boy. Hopefully he'll be a very nice devotee. I pray for that. As much as Anvaya goes into the in-laws house, she will have a very different perspective and a very careful perspective rather than being more free when she's with her mother. So it's the same thing when the soul has realized knowledge. The Anvaya will feel that this is my home and my mother, and I'm much more freer, and I'm not judged upon. So in the material conditioned state, the soul is judged upon, and the soul, being the spirit soul covered with ignorance, am I doing the right thing? Is it going to cause problems? But in the knowledge state, you become free, and you know that I am not doing all these things. It is the material nature that's doing, and we'll come to that point. So verses 7 through 16 almost talk of these, and then we can see in the 8th one we have this famous verse, Pashyan Shinvan Spishan Jigran. A conditioned soul, he'll see that the daily activities are continuing. You get up in the morning, you do certain activities, you have to attend calls of nature, you have to sleep, you have to eat. You will see that in that state, it's not me that is doing. This is my senses, that my eyes, my mouth, my ears that I possess, and they are interacting with their sense objects. I have nothing to do with this. Just like a parent, when he sees his child playing with toys, the parent is not involved in the child's play. The child and the toys, they are at work, not the parent. The parent is aloof. Yes or yes? So in the same way, the jiva or the spirit soul, when the spirit soul advances, he sees or she sees, I'm not doing anything of this. I'm not eating. I'm not sleeping. It is the body and its reactions with the material nature that are going on, and I'm just being dragged along. So, and then you can just see the famous example comes up, that one who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results onto the Supreme, is unaffected by sinful reaction, as the lotus leaf is. What happens to the lotus leaf when you put some water on the lotus leaf?
It doesn't get touched.
It doesn't get touched. It doesn't, just the water just glides off. Just even for those who have taro plants at home, in Telugu it's called chamagadda, and in English it's called taro. I don't know Hindi. I still have to figure out what the name for this is. But if you take that leaf and then you put some water, the water will just not even touch the leaf. It just glides off. So similarly, for a person who's in that state of consciousness, there are no question of reactions. That's a happy stage. That's what Krishna is saying. But then why do they work? If they are liberated souls, if they are completely free and the reactions of the work doesn't touch them, Krishna is saying in the 11th verse, the yogis abandoning attachment act with body, mind, and intelligence, and even with the senses only for the purpose of purification. Because please understand, my dear devotees, the release from matter is not that easy. We have been here since time immemorial. Billions times, billions births I have taken in this world. And I'm so used to this material world that I feel this is my home. This is the place I am. And so everybody is so reluctant to pursue spiritual life. And that is the case in general, but in Kali Yuga, it is even more acute because of so many things that are happening. Nobody wants to kind of take on to the spiritual realization. Prayen alpayasha sabhya kalavasmin yuge jana manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya hi upadritaha. Bhagavatam gives the description of the nature or the quality of people in Kali Yuga. Prayen alpayasha sabhya. The lives are very short. They are short-lived. In Satya, it was 100,000 years. In Treta, it is 10,000. In Dwapar, it is 1,000. In Kali Yuga, it is 100. Even if you live for 100 years and 100 plus years, you will have news reporters and other people come to your home asking for the secrets of your long life. Seriously, you can look it up. I mean, if you look it up, 100 plus years old, 120 years old people, they live. They celebrate the 106th birthday and they say, my God, how did you manage to live? As if, the person who is living is responsible for the lifespan. If that is the case, everybody will want to live infinitely on this world. But in any case, and it is reduced. Sprayana alpaisha sapya kalavasmin yugejana. Manda sumanda matayo. This is manda is disturbed or lazy. Sumanda matayo means intellectually or spiritually also very, very reluctant. Mandabhagya, unfortunate. Ubadrita, always disturbed. This is the nature of Kali. So, to get out of the entanglement of material world, it's difficult. And by the mercy of, and Krishna is saying that one has to perform karma yoga, and then one has to perform jnana, and then one has to perform dhyana after that. And then you will get bhakti. Brahmabhuta Prasannatma. Here we are talking of Brahmabhuta stage. If we talk further, Krishna is talking about, and you can see here, which one? Brahmabhuta. Please find me a verse with Brahmabhuta in it. It comes later. Maybe Brahmani Stitaha, 19th. Then we have Brahmavid Brahmani Stitaha, 19, 20, 21, 22. You can see those verses actually talk of Brahmabhuta. And if you think that you have achieved Brahmabhuta platform and you have become perfect and pure, Krishna is saying, not really. Brahmabhuta Prasannatma Ashoshati na Kankshati Samaha Sarveshu Bhuteshu. What happens next?
Na bhakti labate param.
Thank you. Then you get bhakti to Krishna. Yeah, you can see now the entanglement or the disentanglement from material existence is very, very difficult. It is not easy. Daivihi esha gunamayi mama maya.
Duratraya.
It's very easy, no? Duratraya means?
No, it's difficult, very difficult.
Mama maya duratyaya. Mameva prapadyante maya metantarante. So we have, this is our good fortune that by mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and by mercy of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who came to the West empowered by Krishna and Gauranga to give this devotion to Krishna, in fact, pure devotional service onto Krishna without considering or without asking for the prerequisites that we are seeking here. Thank you, Sri Shamataji, for the verse. And then, so till 16th verse, if you can see the theme of that is till the 16th verse, it is about that. We will actually stop at, we'll go verses 13, 14, and 15 little in depth. So 13th verse says, Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukam vashi navadvare pure dehi aiva kuruvan nakarayan. It is said, when the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all activities, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, the material body. This is the important point, neither working nor causing the work to be done. At this point, the understanding, okay, neither working nor causing work to be done. Prabhu, I should be free from work. I should be free. Tomorrow I'll quit. Go tell my boss that I have read the 5th chapter. I'm pretty much on a Brahma Bhuta state. And so I don't need to work, or not causing to be work done. I am a manager. I don't want others to work. It's a little bit involved than that. The reason here is, you come to this stage, you will realize that I am not the creator of the work. I have desires, but I am not the creator of the work in of itself. We can hold the thought here, and for those who want little more information on the action or the work, please refer to 18th chapter, 13th verse onwards. Or you can hold the thought, we can get little more deeper into it. When we reach 18th chapter, we can get more information. But this, when it is mentioned here that the jiva is neither causing the work to be done nor working, it's mentioned here. And then who is causing the work to be done? Text 14 says, na kartrutvam na karmani lokasya sriyati prabhu na karma phala samyogam swabhavastu parvartate. The embodied spirit, the master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. Please tell me a verse that resounds or resembles this in the 3rd chapter.
Prakriti
Kriyamani gunai karmani sarvashah.
Go for it.
Ahankara vimudatma kartaha miti manyate.
Excellent. So this is wonderful. You'll be happy because since I am not doing any work by the stretch of that imagination, the material nature is doing the work. Material nature is being controlled under the direction of God, right? Krishna says, Maya Dhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharachara, which means God has to take the sinful reactions and the positive reactions of my work. He should preferably take sinful reactions, leave the positive reactions to me. That is the natural thing it says here. Because if I am not doing work, if I am neither causing the work to be done, nor am I working, and this is being done by the modes of material nature. So by reason, God has to take on the reactions of the work, not me. Good argument. Is it logical?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. But Krishna is saying in the next verse, no thanks, thanks but no thanks. And what is the no thanks but no thanks? Pretty important verse. Na datte kaschatit papam na chaiva sukritam vipo ajnena avrita ajnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha. Nor does the Supreme Lord assumes anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. So Krishna is saying, no, thank you, I am not taking it. It is the embodied living beings who have been encaged in this material world since time immemorials. They are bewildered because of the activities. I'll give a simple example. A person, he comes to US, or for example, a person from US goes to Japan. As soon as they get off the airport, with no clue about how vehicles are driven in either USA or Japan, they rent a car, go on the road, and they go on the wrong side of the road and ram into an accident, create an accident. Who is responsible? Is the government responsible because they put the roads from the wrong side or created
He
the
himself is responsible.
Sorry?
He himself is responsible for going to the wrong route, right?
Exactly. Thank you. So the idea here is that because the ignorance of that person who rented the car and drove the vehicle is the prime factor here. And this can actually get started. Oh, then the question will come. And then this question will repeatedly come. I'll repeatedly give the same answer and be satisfied with it. Oh, then when did the ignorance begin? So Krishna is saying, because of the ignorance, these reactions will start. And actually, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport If you can look up that purport. The 15th verse, it is mentioned in the purport. Oh, actually, it's 14th verse. We can do from let's take 14th. Let's do the 14th purport. So in the purport, it is mentioned the living entity, as will be explained in the 7th chapter, is one of the energies of the Lord, but is distinct from matter, which is of another nature called inferior of the Lord. Somehow, the superior nature, the living entity, has been in contact with material nature since time immemorial. The temporary body or material dwelling place which he obtains is the cause of varieties of activities and their resultant reactions. Living in such a conditional atmosphere, one suffers the results of the activities by identifying himself in ignorance with the body. This is the most important point, please pay attention. It is the ignorance acquired from time immemorial that is the cause of bodily suffering and distress. So the question will come, at what point did I get covered by ignorance? And because that is causing me so much pain, then there must have been some point that I must have been covered by ignorance, because I was never born. Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita that the soul is never born and never dies. So far, so good. So, but the fact that I am in ignorance right now, and I have come into ignorance, being a pure spirit soul, when did I come? And I will, the answer to that is one word. When did you come into ignorance? Since time
immemorial.
Thank you. Anadi karma phali. There is no time at which this started, but nevertheless, there must have been some discrepancy or some desire on my part that the Lord said, all right, I'm going to cover you with ignorance. If there was no desire on my part, and I have been unjustly and cruelly pushed by God into material nature, then Krishna's words are false when he says Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram and
Suridam Sarvabhutanam Nyatvam Shantim Richati.
So what does Suhridam Sarvabhutanam mean?
Best friend of all living entities.
Really? A best friend would push me into this ignorance, abysmal ignorance since time immemorial, and let me get stuck for billions of years? How fair is that a well-wisher? Krishna is telling lies. No? So my point here is, Krishna is always the well-wisher, and he never wants his own children to suffer and rot like this. But there must have been some discrepancy that happened. And what happened there? Srila Prabhupada, please remember this. The jiva is fallen since time immemorial. And why did it happen? 4 words. And then somebody actually liked the...
Mommy.
Who is that said? Who said that?
Palika Devidasi.
Wow, thank you. And that is it, Mommy. Misuse of minute independence. How did it happen? Misuse of minute independence. The jiva, as a jiva, I have independence. Like Krishna has independence, he has full independence. And since I partake the qualities of Krishna, not in quantity, but in quality, I do also have within me some minute independence. And somehow or other, I misused it. And thus, I am here today. If regarding this fall of jiva, please have only this much information, that's sufficient. And I'm not making it up. Srila Prabhupada writes at quite few places that one need not worry too much about when did this happen or how did this happen, for what purpose it happened. The fact of the matter is it happened. I'll give a simple example. This time I'll pick on Ananda Kishore Prabhu. So Ananda Kishore Prabhu and his friends, they they are young, and before they get married, they actually want to see the world a little bit. It's a good idea, to see different parts of the world and see how the living entities can be saved. So they travel on a cruise ship, 6, 7, 8 people. And once after they eat dinner prasadam, and the boat is nicely plying on the ocean, and they all retire to their cabinets or cabins. And in the middle of night, something happens that the ship actually just disintegrated, just broke apart. And Anand Kishore Prabhu, he is hanging on to a life raft, to like a really small dinghy boat, somehow or other he got from the wreckage, or a small piece of wood that was his cabin door. It was made of wood and he's floating on it. Somehow or other, very precarious. This is in the middle of Atlantic Ocean. It is, if you slip off that small, tiny wooden plank, pretty much you will drown to the bottom. Anand Kishore Prabhu, please forgive me. God forbid it never happens.
It's already happening. Yeah, please.
And then somehow or other, through miraculously, the Coast Guard comes. There has been an information passed on, a radio signal given, distress signal, SOS signal, save our soul signal has been given, and the Coast Guard comes. And the Coast Guard fellow, he actually takes the rope and throws it at Ananda Kishore Prabhu. And Anand Kishore Prabhu, he looks up and says, "Yeah, I won't take the rope. The first question you have to tell me is, how did the ship break? Which mechanical structure broke first? Then after that, how did it happen? Why were the alarms not sounded?" Ananda Kishore Prabhu is supremely intelligent, I know. He will just grab onto the rope ASAP. The fall of Jiva question is such a type of absurd inquiry in the face of we being in a precarious condition in the material existence. And then if you are still saying, no, that question is deeply rooted in my heart, I really want to know that how did this happen? My only answer to that, if you have heard before, please forgive me. Please go back to Krishna and ask him. He will be the best person to tell you. Even if you go all the way up to Brahma to ask him, he might know a little, but if you came in this material existence before this life of Brahma, the previous Brahma, he won't be able to tell you exactly what happened. So please go back to Krishna. So far, so good?
Yes, Prabhu.
All right. So Krishna is saying here, neither the living entity is responsible for work, nor the Lord will assume the sinful and the pious reactions. It is just the tourist should have actually familiarized himself with the laws of the country before he or she rented a car and then just crashed it and drove on the wrong side of the road and caused an accident. So it is the ignorance. And on this note, I just want to mention, Sri Shamataji, Anand Kishore Prabhu, and so many devotees from different parts of the world are actually going out and helping people to distribute Bhagavad Gitas. And in essence, what we are trying to do here is to destroy that ignorance that has been holding the jiva here since time immemorial. And that is the reason it is called or considered the greatest beneficial activity that you can do, is to give this knowledge to others, to kind of give them impetus that, hey, this is not your place. You are set up for repeated birth and death in this material world, and it is time for you to wake up and then go back. In fact, let's search something. I want Charnima Prabhu to wait.
Yes, Prabhu.
1 minute. No, it's not in Bhagavad Gita. Okay. That is from Srimad Bhagavatam, and it is from the 11th canto. Then the verse number is, please pull up 11:9:29. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:9:29. Actually, let me put that directly in the chat so that it's easier for you. Okay. You can just click on the link. Okay. All right. Okay, Shaktam, you want to? Okay, actually, yeah, go for it. Let's do it together. Actually, if that's okay, Shaktam, I'll ask Shukarupa Mataji and Ashray Madhav Prabhu to do the reading, and then you can do the translation. They can do the Sanskrit and you can do the translation.
Hari Bol Srivasa Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. It is 11:9:29. Did I put in the wrong one in the chat? No, it is 11:9:29.
That's what I thought. 7:20.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. We both can do it. It'll be nice if you. Labdva sudurlabhamidam bahusambhavante.
Labdva sudurlabham idam bahusambhavante.
Manusyamartadamanityamapiha dhiraha.
Manusyamartadamanityamapiha dhiraha.
Turnam yate tanapate danumrityu
Turnam yate tanapate danumrityu yavan.
Nishrehasaya vichaya kalu sarvatasya.
Nihisreyashaya vishaya khalu sarvatasyat.
Translation, please.
Can you please further? Yeah. After many births and deaths, one achieves the rare human form of life, which, although temporary, affords one the opportunity to attain the highest perfection. Thus, a sober human being should quickly endeavor for the ultimate perfection of life, as long as his body, which is always subject to death, has not fallen down and died. After all, sense gratification is available even in the most abominable species of life, whereas Krishna consciousness is possible only for a human being. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you so much. So, knowing that we are in the middle of ocean with just sitting on a wooden plank, we should quickly do whatever we need to do to get out of this. And for those who are simple-minded and who are having faith in Krishna and his words, it's much easier. But as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, for the doubting minds, there is no happiness either in this life or in the next. So we shouldn't blindly follow, but at the same time, we shouldn't have continuous doubts either. One should take shelter of Krishna or his representative, the spiritual master, and quickly get rid of these doubts and make strong progress, because at the end of life, that is what counts. Everything else that one has achieved might not count so much for moving on or having any tangible spiritual progress. So far, so good. Questions, comments, concerns?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Prabhuji, even though if we learn from Bhagavad Gita, but taking out of I, me concept is very difficult, right, Prabhu? Even though we are doing this Bhakti Yoga, we started this process, but it's very difficult to take out of that I, me accept. In how could we get rid of this, Prabhu?
Just keep continuing to do what you are doing, Mataji. As I said before, in this world we have been there for a long time, and then ahara nidra bhaya maituna is especially bhaya means this is mine and I need to protect, has been there since time immemorial. So slowly as we take on to the process of devotional service, it will go, and then and you will get one day what is mentioned in text number 16, if you allow me to go, and hope and pray that happens. That's what will happen.
Sure, thank you, Hare Krishna.
Jnanena tu ajnanam yesham nashitam tesham adityavajnanam akashayati tatparam. When, however, one is enlightened with knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything, as sun lights up everything in the daytime. So this is the effect of working in devotion and also renouncing. So and then 17 also says the same thing. One becomes situated on jnana. So when one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge, and thus proceeds straight onto the path of liberation. Here, in the 18th verse, for the very first time, not the first time, but at least the jiva and the relationship other jivas is mentioned here. A topic that is much more discussed, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. This is the very famous verse where it is mentioned Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmini Kavihastini Sunichaiva Swapakecha Pandita Samadarshina. There, the person who is spiritually elevated not only sees God or the Brahman, but he also sees others and the same spiritual level. He or she, for that matter, sees on the same spiritual level. This is very beautiful verse, because in 16th, Krishna is talking about Dhyana Yoga. In that he also mentions this particular verse, Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra. You are seeing others as spiritual nature, like myself, but at this point of time, you don't know to whom they belong. Are they gods by themselves? Are they on the same level as Brahman by themselves? Or are they gods with apostrophe S? So this is an important verse that kind of links up. Now the spiritual realization is there, other living entities, and now Krishna will talk about himself in the last verse of this chapter. So, and then we can see about the next few verses. Krishna talks about equanimity of mind, and then 21. Then he says, in the 21st verse, he says, such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, a self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. When you are in that position, then you can actually come to the point of 522. One of the common themes that happens in spiritual life is that many rules and restrictions come about. Yes or yes? There are so many rules. And oftentimes, I don't know about all the exalted souls here, but for me, oftentimes I see that my senses are very strong and they are impetuous. And, they repeatedly want to enjoy sense gratification. We have rules on one hand that restrict or pull back from sense gratification, but then the senses and mind are so strong, they keep pushing us back. to that. This struggle without the spiritual life or without focusing our mind on Krishna can be a very challenging aspect of it, because mind and senses are strong and turbulent. In fact, we haven't come to that point yet, where in 6th chapter Krishna asks Arjuna asks Krishna, "Oh Krishna, you are asking me to control the mind, but controlling the mind is greater than even controlling the raging wind." So here Krishna is saying, at this point you realize what sense gratification is. You come to the intelligent stage where you say, I'm having much better happiness. So the sense gratification is not so great. My request is that the devotees on themselves and maybe on their family members also have that impact, have that empathy and compassion, that these senses and the mind are at play. While we cannot spoil and completely indulge either our children or our spouses, whatever, in sense gratification, it's not easy to give up. And so to create an artificial vacuum is also not healthy. One should have a gradual progression in spiritual life, and to the point where sense gratification becomes automatically detestable. Yehi samsparshya bhoga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavantu kaunteya nateshu ramate bhuta. It is mentioned in the 22nd verse. Here, the intelligent man does not take part in the sources of miseries, which are sense gratification. But that intelligence has to awaken before you come to that realization. Correct or yes or yes? Inherent in this verse is the arising of intelligence or the awakening of intelligence. To blindly beat somebody just purely to restrict without having that intelligence might not be very effective. So while we strive to control, at the same time, this factor is also at play. So that's the reason why it is difficult. But once you come to this point, no big deal. Any pleasure of this world doesn't really move a person, because the person is spiritually advanced and he sees, everything is just passing. It's temporary. It's not the highest pleasure. Then there's no point in seeking it. And think of the relief you get in this world that is consumer crazy, that people are just buying clothes and more than what they need and just changing cars because they are bored and they have the money to do so, just frivolously trying to enjoy happiness. We should feel compassionate for them instead of being envious of them, because the same compassion a child, you might feel towards a child repeating the same mistake over and over and over again, thinking that it will yield a different result. So far, so good. Any questions? Any comments? Any concerns?
So there are.
Hare Krishna, bro. This is Shashi Shekhar. Thank you so much for enlightening us today, Prabhu. I had one question, Prabhu, regarding the free will. You beautifully explained that if you're driving in a foreign country and you take a car, rent a car, and then you get in an accident. In that case, isn't that responsibility of the person lending the car to check for your qualifications? I'm talking in terms of analogy of our free will and trying to how much free will is free will when Krishna had an opportunity. Krishna knows past, present, and future, right? And he also has given us independent free will, and he also knows how we are going to use it, right? Since he's knower of everything. It is like, if you put a candy near a toddler, then he's going to pick up. So why such kind of circumstances are, why is the candy put there for you to go and exploit when it's not good for you? So I'm always confused by this free will concept, that why is free will there in first place when Krishna knows that how you're going to use your free will as well to go away from him?
So one happy news on that front, Shashi Shekhar Prabhu, is Krishna says that this will happen only once. That he says, once you come back to me, you are never going to come back again to this material world. So it looks like somehow or other it happened. Somehow or other. Well, to say again, your question reverts back to the same thing. Why did Krishna not stop me from falling down into this world and suffer like this? Don't you think he tried? He must have definitely tried, but if the will is strong, then what can be done? I'll give another example. If a child is very obstinate and the parent cannot bound or take a chain and tie down the child, for how long that can continue if the will is strong. So in the same way, Krishna though must have tried. If the jiva wanted to go, Krishna did not interfere. But more than that, Shashi Shekhar Prabhu, what is of beauty is that Krishna will never give up on you. Even though you wanted to go away from Krishna, Krishna is sitting within your heart, birth after birth after birth. Sometimes I might have been a pig in a gutter, eating the most abominable things on this planet. Sometimes I have been an insect, a bird, a beast, a tree, a demigod. Sometimes I have been a serpent. God only knows how many lives I just wasted. I just pursued a blind pursuit of material. But Krishna was there. He said, even though you go away from me, I'm going to come with you throughout your journey in the world. That Shashi Shekhar Prabhu shows of his glory. Not the fact that he didn't stop us. If he stopped us, would you voluntarily serve God? No, he wants our voluntary service. He doesn't need anything. That's another point, Shashi. What is the need for Krishna to hold us back? He is the master of unlimited energies and wealth and power. Why does he need us? In fact, if you can twist it around, that even though he needs nothing from us, he's coming with us. So that means he's our true friend.
Right.
That is his beauty. That is his glory. We are utterly dependent on him, but he is never. So in the conditioned state, he says, I'll sit within your heart. I won't trust demigods to take care of you in terms of you're good and bad, because demigods come and go. If the accounting firm is shut down, all the accounting is gone with that accounting firm. And then there is another accounting firm coming. But here I'll come with you and I'll keep track of you. So that is the beauty of Krishna. That is his glory and that is his greatness. And that's why I might have had millions of mothers and fathers and sons and daughters who might have taken care of me, or I have taken care of him. Where do they are? Where are they now? But Krishna is still there. As of today, as we speak with each other, he's there sitting in our heart and trying to guide us back home, back to Godhead. In fact, in Brihad Bhagavad Amrita, it mentions Gopakumar goes to Vaikuntha and the Lord Vishnu says, oh my God, you have come. I thought birth after birth I waited for you. I thought now in this life you will surrender unto me. Now in this life you will surrender unto me. I couldn't hold any longer. I broke all the laws of karma that I designed myself so that I can. So Krishna can have that causeless mercy. But by and large, he will not he'll not interfere with our independence. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Can I ask one follow-up question, Prabhu?
Yes, please.
Prabhu, so for going back home, back to Godhead, there is certain qualification needed, right? Similarly, when choices are given for the jiva, the qualification should be checked, right? If this jiva is going to make the right decision for that or not. If free will is like, if you're giving the car in Japan, you should check the qualification that this person has license, which, we know that he will not drive into someone and kill someone. So similarly, when free will is given, the qualification is not checked. But when we want to go back home, back to Godhead, there needs to be some qualification. How do we understand these two principles together? Sorry, bro, if I'm like.
No, it's fine. So please don't hesitate. There is no question that is kind of yeah, you get the idea. To say that, well, your question is implicit in the assumption that God didn't do anything to stop us.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying like, why was the qualification not checked when the choice was given, right?
The idea was that for a jiva, Shashi Shekhar Prabhu, either there are two choices. You live in the material world, you live in the spiritual world. You don't have a third choice.
Right.
So if you are insisting of going, okay, that's about it. What else can be done? And you didn't get a menu card. There is like a material world, one material world, 2, 3, 4, multi varieties of material world. So there is only one material world and one spiritual world. So Krishna said, okay, you should go. Just like a prisoner, the government didn't induce the prisoner to perform or criminal to commit crime. But when the crime is committed, then the action will be taken. Just like something like that.
Right. Thank you.
And in fact, Krishna is saying in this verse that I am not responsible for anybody's good or bad because I didn't do it. And so in that case, Krishna was neutral. He didn't do that. But once you come here, then Krishna is saying it is not that qualification from going back to the spiritual world, Shashikar Prabhu. In fact, it is that if Krishna's mercy is there, you will go back in 1 second. No questions asked, like Maharaj Khatmanga. But it is just the material nature is so strong and been here since time immemorial. We ourselves actually are reluctant. If you ask me, Krishna is not looking for qualification. It is our own rather slowness in embracing this process. Krishna is not giving us, how he's saying, Shashi Shekhar, you will be only doing 1% of progress in this life. That is your destiny. He's not saying that. If we need to, we can get back to Krishna in one lifetime. But then it's not easy. It is, and we ourselves are reluctant to kind of go full-fledged at it. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Very grateful for the answer.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, there are more questions on chat.
Yes, please.
Would you like to take now?
Yes, please. Actually, if you can, yes, go ahead. Go ahead. We can take questions.
Okay. Hari Mohan Mataji has a question on fall of Jiva again. Mataji, would you like to go ahead?
Hare Krishna, I just had a question that misuse of minute independence happens in spiritual world also, or like I don't know.
Hari Mohan Mataji, you have to speak maybe little louder.
Hare Krishna, you able to hear me now?
Yeah, but yeah. Okay, go ahead, Mataji. Yeah.
Yeah, I was asking this misuse of minute independence happens in spiritual world also.
The what happens?
Misuse of minute.
Yeah, it happens in spiritual world as well. Yes, and that's the reason why we fall.
Okay, got it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. But as I said, happens once. Now, once we somehow or other, again, that somehow or other, don't get started. There have been books written, conferences organized, people have talked on it till their faces turn blue. You won't get a proper answer. I realize that it's not even worth to investigate because you'll never find the answer to it. Okay, just thank you. No. This is a off track, Hari Mohan Mataji. I didn't mean to specifically answer you for that, but it was general comment.
Actually, Prabhu, Pavitra Renu Mataji is asking you that if you have some time, can you tell us what books do you have in the bookshelf? It looks great. So maybe later he can tell.
Pavitra Renu Mataji, these are these are books that we collected over a period of time. What books do we have? We have full set of Srila Prabhupada's books, Srimad Bhagavatam, and then some collections like Chaitanya Bhagavat, Harivamsha Purana. There is also Garga Samhita. All books of Goswamis, and then there are little bits of Sandarbhas. Mataji, this is all for show, Mataji. I'm really not knowledgeable on anything so much. So this is mainly for show.
Prabhuji, may I do one comment?
Yes, please.
So far, I know Prabhuji's Mataji and Prabhuji's daughter, they're all Prabhupada book lovers and they read a lot. So far, I know. I want to do the comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Anything else, Pavitra Renu Mataji? Any other question you had specifically of thing?
Rambabu Prabhu has a question.
No. Pavitra and Mataji, I wanted her answer.
No, Prabhuji, thank you for explaining.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Rambabu Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for nice explanations, Prabhuji. And I have this question, like we have different stages of devotion service. Ado, Sadhu, Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya. So generally at what stage devotee understands that he is aloof from the three modes of the material nature and they are just pulling him to act in different ways. So what is the stage, Prabhuji?
So,
or it just comes to contemplation.
So thank you. Does anybody need more? Anybody have questions on the question itself, or do you need more explanation of the question before I talk about the answer? Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Okay. So Srila Rupa Goswami has written in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Adau Shraddha Tatav Sadhu Sangha, Tato da Bhajana Kriya, Tato Narta Nivrittisya, Tato Nishta Ruchistata, Asaktis Tato Bhavo, Tato Prema Vidanchati, Sadhakanam Ayam Premna Pradur Bhave Bravekamaha. So in that 8 stages have been defined by Srila Rupa Goswami. It starts with faith, then it starts with association of devotees, sadhu sangha. Then it starts with bhajana kriya, performing the activities of hearing and chanting. Then after that is anartha nivritti. All the unwanted things are cleansed from the heart. Then after that comes then ruchi, nishta. There are other stages that I don't want to get into too much right now. And it ends up in prema. Please note that these are not compartmental, which means that right now I am on the stage of faith. And then when I go to the next step, then the faith is not there. In fact, it builds on it. So the faith deepens when you go to Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha. So the faith is always there. The Shraddha is always there. Bhajana Kriya, it's always there. Even for the gopis of Vrindavan, they were constantly discussing the pastimes of Krishna, not in a regulated way, but in a spontaneous way. They were describing about Krishna. So the Bhajana Kriya will never end. So we take all those things. In that same stretch, Anartha Nivritti also, it is there almost till Bhava. And as you move through different stages, the Anartha Nivritti remains, or the Anarthas, unwanted things, remain in the heart, but the effect is very less as we go ahead. And it is mentioned that in the stage of bhava, the anarthas are like a drop in the ocean. Can you see a drop of ink in the ocean? If you throw a red ink, the ocean will turn red, the Pacific Ocean. In fact, barely you can see the red ink there. So, but if you see the red ink is still there, the drop of red ink is still there in the Pacific Ocean, like it or not. And it is mentioned even in the stage of bhava, if one commits Vaishnava aparadh, the drop of red ink will actually cover the whole ocean as red. So it is more progressive. It is, how do you say? It is more intense each stage, and each stage becomes more and more sweet. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, if I understand correctly, unless you achieve the platform of pure devotion service, you are going to be troubled by the three modes to some extent.
Yes.
And it is progressively it is lesser as you.
So Shraddha, here talk of Shraddha is pure devotion service. When we talk of in this Rupa Goswami's verse, the Shraddha here in Bhagavad Gita is just remembering God or trying to understand God. But in the stage of Rupa Goswami Shraddha, one is on the path of pure devotion, and the Shraddha is actually towards prema, which is love of Godhead. So the fruit of the Brahmabhuta stage is devotion to Krishna or pure devotion service. Is that okay? Not yet.
Yes.
Can you actually, Ram Babu, I would request you to hold that thought till we reach to the 6th chapter. Next class, we can discuss a little more because I'm going to discuss about yoga ladder. I did discuss a little bit of yoga ladder, but then we can discuss a little more on that front.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Because, okay, yeah. Other questions?
Sukharupa Mataji and Ashray Madhav have a question.
Yeah, Haribol.
Haribol, Srivasa Prabhu. So in Prabhu, in verse 27 and 28, right, Lord Krishna, is Krishna sort of laying the foundation for the next chapter? Like,
yes.
Because suddenly we are talking about, and suddenly it's talking about, concentrate between the eyebrows and take breath in and out and all that.
Yes. Yeah.
Like Arjuna is in the middle of battlefield, right? And he's telling all these things to him. So.
Yes, you're right.
Right. Okay.
Prabhu, I have a follow-up on this actually. Not even 27, 28, even 18th. Prabhu, 18th where Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem a person on a Karma Yoga platform.
Yeah, you're right.
Right?
Here in the 5th chapter, Krishna gives all the hints of the 6th chapter, the Dhyana Yoga. Because as I said, 5th chapter is a bridge between Jnana and Dhyana. So there are hints which are being given. So when you become a Brahmabhuta state, then you also see other living entities on the Brahmabhuta platform. And then in the end, he says, but then you have to realize God as Paramatma. That is still not yet done. So, and he's going to give that in the next chapter 6. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu. And can you explain what's the difference between Jnana and Dhyana?
So I'll give a simple explanation. So for the Jnana Yoga, the perfection is we realize God as Brahman. He is the limitless life. For Dhyana, we come to realize he is actually Paramatma. He has a feature and a form, and he's sitting in everyone's heart.
Prabhuji, I have one basic question. Prabhuji, is it okay if I can ask? I'm Palika Devidasi.
Hare Krishna. Yes, ma'am.
Prabhuji, this all started on the battlefield. First, Arjuna was scared. I mean, like he was not, he was compassionate not to fight. So that was the first chapter. Second chapter, that compassion he was showing for body. Then Krishna explained compassion not for body, but for the soul. And then in third chapter, so he was doing about, so what is the link, Prabhuji? Until 5th chapter, if I take the story points as link, how can I connect the dots, Prabhuji?
Mate, so in the purport to this chapter that we read, I would highly recommend that you read that. The link is there, but I'll give you in a nutshell. The nutshell is that when Krishna says that one should perform Nishkam Karma Yoga in the 2nd chapter, and then he says one should become Sthita Prajna. Arjuna asks, what is the quality of one who's on Sthita Prajna? And then Krishna gives all the information. He says mind control, sense control, and so many other things. And then he says, Esha Brahmi Sthiti Pata Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Sthitva Syamanta Kalepi Brahma Nirvana Muchyati. That you will be situated on a Brahmabhuta state if you do it. But the idea was that not everybody can immediately come to that stage. So Krishna is saying for those who are in the path of karma, then they can actually do their work, but offer it to Vishnu. And by doing that in a very Vedic way, or according to Vedic injunction, one gets knowledge or jnana in the 4th chapter. And then he also says Sadviddhi Pranipatena in the 4th chapter, which means either you can get jnana through performing all these sacrifices, or you can take shelter of a spiritual master. And in the 5th chapter, still the action is not given up. You cannot give up action at this point of time, but your action is not touched by reactions because you have full transcendental realization, which is the Brahma Bhuta stage. And so that is the thing. And 6th is the dhyana, where you'll realize Paramatma. Is that okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Prabhu, there's one more question. Pavitra Renu Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
So I think you answered the question just now, Prabhu. I was confused on why the 3rd chapter and the 5th chapter have the same titles, why their topics are discussed the same. I think you just answered that, right?
Thank you. Yeah. So just to give you in the 3rd chapter, one is performing karma as more of still in the conditioned state, but offering doing one's natural work and offering it to Krishna. But in the 5th chapter, one is above that. One is fully enlightened in the knowledge as told in the 4th chapter. And now in the 5th chapter, he's doing his duty in whatever capacity he is, without being affected by the reactions of work.
So 3rd chapter is fruitive work, and 5th chapter is work in Krishna consciousness.
Correct. 3rd chapter is fruitive work or conversions from fruitive to karma yoga, where we just say, okay, do your work, but offer the fruits of your work to Krishna, or do it for Krishna wherever possible. You still keep doing what you are doing, but do it for Krishna. And there is not much of chanting or hearing or devotion or bhakti yoga to Krishna at that point.
But then when you say devote to Krishna, that is bhakti yoga, right? At that point?
It is not there. You are doing it devoid of it. You are just doing, okay, God is there, I have to work for him and I have to offer food for him. Or if I am in the Karma Kanda section, I have to worship the demigods, otherwise I won't get rain. Krishna is saying, Annat Bhavanti Bhutani. All those are mentioned in the 3rd chapter. But I still have this, I'm just a Vaishya. The I will still not be Brahma Bhuta stage. The I will be still, I am a Vaishya, I am a man, I am a woman, I am a whatever. That will still continue at that point.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So, in the last verse of the, let's see, if there are any other points I'm missing, I'll just take a quick look. I think that's it. So the last verse of the 5th chapter, which is called the peace formula. So whenever somebody asks you what is the peace formula in Bhagavad Gita, you should without blinking an eyelid say 529. You know, the verse is 5th chapter, 29th verse. Bhoktaram yagnatapsam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarva bhutanam jnatva mam shanti vichyati. Where Krishna is saying 3 things you have to know. Bhoktaram yagnatapasam, that I am the enjoyer of all the sacrifices. Sarvaloka maheshwaram, I am the lord of all the planets. Maha Ishvara. There are many Ishvaras of the planet, but Krishna is Maha Ishvara. And Suhrudam Sarvabhutana, I am the friend of all living entities. Those who know this in truth, Jnatva Mam Shanti Mrichati. Here Krishna is for the very first time, if you can carefully see in the Bhagavad Gita, he does give a hints about his birth in the 4th chapter. He does give this, but in the 5th chapter, he actually establishes that he is the Ishvara. From the first verse, he says, unless you come to this point that there is a controller and who is owning all these planets, these are mine, then you will not get, till then you will not get peace. Now, if you are living in a house that is very hard to maintain, and somebody comes and says, hey, nonsense, what are you doing? I'm the owner of this house, I'm maintaining it. Okay, take the keys, I'm happy. That's the kind of thing it's mentioned here. So as Ashraya Madhava Prabhu mentioned, Krishna gives few verses which segue into the 6th chapter. In the next class, we will discuss the 6th chapter. Is that okay? All right. Thank you so very much. Any other final questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanvat Pranam, All Krishna Prabhupada. This chapter I really, really like because you can really meditate on this and, deeply understand the whole thing. I really like it. Thank you so much. You explained it very nicely.
Thank you, Ishwari Radhanath. Thank you so much for joining all the way from Fort Lauderdale, from Florida. Any other final points or questions or comments?
Prabhu, if time permits, I have one question, Prabhu.
Yes.
Prabhuji, the spirit soul, right? I mean, in the conditioned state, it's being facilitated by the 3 modes of the material nature. He has particular desires, and based on the desires and based on his karma, 3 modes are facilitating his actions. So when Krishna says that he does not induce others to act, so I mean, I'm a little bit confused there. because when we become angry, we see that other person's actions are being affected by our anger, or whatever emotional stage we are in, right? So that seems like affecting others. So our anger is basically being it is basically starting from the desire, right? It's being induced by the soul. Can you please elaborate? Induced in the basically it's being facilitated by the three modes, but yeah, the root is at the soul level, is what my understanding. Can you please elaborate on this? How it doesn't induce somebody to not to act?
So, if Krishna says Prakrite Kriyamanani Gunai Karmani Sarvashaha Ahankar Vimudatma Kartaham iti manyate, which means that the material nature is inducing everybody to act. Yes or yes? So far, so good? Rambabu?
Yes, Prabhu.
If material nature is inducing everybody to act, then people under illusion will think that I am inducing this person to act under the influence of false ego, when actually it is the material nature through me is acting on the material nature of the other soul. You are able to get that?
I agree, Prabhu.
Which means even though I am pushing, the material nature is pushing me to act. I'll tell you another example. In the beautiful discussion between Maharaj Rahugana and Jada Bharat, Maharaj Rahugana says, or he chastises Jada Bharat, and he says, you are the servant. And then Jada Bharat says, under the illusion, you are thinking that I am your servant and you are my master. But these things are temporary and they'll change. Tomorrow, I will become the master and you will become the servant. So by that stretch of imagination, who is acting on whom? Or what is this mastership that is inducing somebody to act? That is also the product of modes of material nature. So that is where the material nature is actually pushing through the different souls to induce others to act, to give the impression that my boss was responsible for my promotion and somehow or other he or she actually blocked it, and they are the only cause. But they are also under the modes of material nature. I will look up one verse from Bhagavatam and then we can stop, and hopefully that satisfies you. Please pull up Charunimaya Prabhu, 11th canto, 7th chapter, 37th verse, please. Let me pull up, or 11:37, let me pull up. I think I remember, if I remember right, it's 11:7:37. Let me pull up and make sure that indeed that is, yep. Okay, the verse says, Bhutair akramya manopi dhiro daiva vashanugai tadvidvan na chalen margat anvashiksham kshiter vratam. A sober person, even when harassed by other living entities, should understand that his aggressors are acting helplessly under the control of God, and thus he should never be distracted from the progress of his own path. This rule I have learned from Earth. This is one of the lessons learned by Avanti Brahman, where you can see that I am not actually causing the other person to act. It is through me, the modes of material nature are pushing and make the other person believe that I am the cause. If you are angry and the others are affected by you, that is your choice that you got angry, and it is rather causing anxiety in others. It was you could control your own mind, and Krishna is saying, if in that anger, if a person beats up somebody, then that person is responsible because that person was unable to control the anger. Is that okay, Rambam?
Yes, Prabhuji. So it's up to the person's ability to tolerate these.
Correct.
Three modes.
Correct. And then that toleration will come only when one is Krishna conscious. Otherwise, you'll be pushed by the waves to think that I am doing it, and the person to whom you are doing it is thinking that that this person is doing. For example, if you push me and you are being pushed by somebody else. This happens in corporate world. Oh my God, my boss is all anxiety, and then he's giving me so much work, he's pushing me on deadline, because his boss is pushing him to do the deadlines, and anxiety is getting on me. So you can see, so the material nature also induces other people to act, and how do I react to that stress is up to me. I can go yell at my boss, or I can be quiet, and the whole idea is the pushing will happen by the modes, but I am not causing that, or I'm not working. That is, but you will get it organically. It's not artificially. You can rotate that mantra in your mind, and that happens. You get natural realization. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, I understand. So actually, I have this doubt. I mean, if somebody's, somebody else's shortcomings, when you are in a particular circumstance, right? Those shortcomings can affect you, but still, actually, we are responsible for, being affected by those.
Correct. And then if you are detached, then you realize that it's not me. It's the modes of material nature that's acting upon him, upon me, and then I should not be affected by that.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Sorry for extending the.
No problem at all. All right, I will see you all next week. Thank you so much for being here. I hope and pray that all of you will be safe, and please, use whatever precautions you need to for the COVID, and please stay safe. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
So, Prabhu, do we have class next week also?
No.
Okay. I thought the way you said, I thought we have a class.
Sorry. Next class, whenever it is.
Okay.
December 6th, I think.
Yes. Okay. No. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you for the class.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hari Bol Arvaya.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.